Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to show you how to turn percents to fractions and also how to turn percents to decimals. I'm going to make it so simple. Here we go. Here we have 16%. So this would mean that if you took a 100-point test, you only got 16 of the questions right. So as a fraction, 16% would look like this. 16 out of 100. So the last step of turning a percent into a fraction is we just have to reduce our fraction. So I can tell just by looking at this fraction that both of those numbers are even, which means 2 goes into both numbers. 2 goes into 16 8 times. 2 goes into 100 50 times. Now, I can tell that they're both even numbers. That means 2 must go into them again. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 50 25 times. So our reduced fraction of 16% is going to be 4/25. Now, I could have just looked at this here and thought, oh, 4 goes into both of those numbers. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 goes into 100 25 times, and you would have gotten the same answer. The key is you just want to reduce. Let's do another one. Here we have 45%. That would mean that on a 100-point test, you only got 45 of the questions right. That would look like this, 45 out of 100. Now we just have to reduce this. So don't forget, 5 goes into every number that has a 5 or a 0 in its ones place. 5 goes into 45 9 times. 5 goes into 100 20 times. And there is our reduced fraction, 9/20. That would be the same as 45%. Let's keep going. Here we have 3%. Uh-oh, only 3 questions right out of the 100. It's important to know that percents are always out of 100. Okay, this one, there is not a single number that goes into both 3 and 100 evenly besides the number 1. So this one's already reduced. Here's our answer, 3/100. Here we go again. Here we have 0.4 or 4/10 of a percent. So this means we didn't even get one question right out of 100. Ooh. Okay, so we are going to write 0.4 over 100. Now, before I just go ahead and start reducing this, it's really not proper to write a decimal within a fraction. So I'm going to take this fraction and I'm going to multiply by 10 over 10, which is equal to 1. So if I multiply a number by 1, it's really not going to change the value of it. I'm just trying to neaten up my fraction so it doesn't look like this. So I'm going to multiply by 10 over 10, which is equivalent to 1, so I know I'm allowed to do it. 0.4 times 10 would be 4. And then 100 times 10 is 1,000. Okay, now that I got rid of that decimal, I'm going to start reducing. I can tell that both of these numbers are even, so what goes into all even numbers? 2. 2 goes into 4 twice, and 2 goes into 1,000 500 times. Oh my gosh, these are both still even, so I'm going to keep going. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 500 250 times, and here is our answer. Every so often, you will see a percent that has a decimal in it, and when we turn that into a fraction, we really want to get rid of that decimal. Okay, let's just try a couple more like this. Here we have 100%. That means that we got 100 answers correct out of the 100. And when we have the same numerator as denominator, we can reduce this just to 1. We got 1 full test right. So this is the reduced fraction for this percent. Okay, we're going to go a little bigger. Here we have 123%. So we must have gotten extra credit or something but I'm going to follow the same procedure that I do 123 over 100. So with fractions, if we had 100 over 100, that would be 1 whole. And we have even more than that. We have 123 over 100. So I know we have 1 whole with 23 out of 100 left over. Because if I took that 100 out, I would still be left with 23. Now I'm just going to look at this part of my fraction, the 23 over 100, and I'm going to ask if I can reduce it. Are there any numbers that go into 23 and 100 evenly besides the number 1? And there's not. So this is my fraction for this percent. One more like that, and we will move on to turning percents into decimals. Here we have 200%. Same procedure, 200 over 100 when dealing with percents, and then I'm going to reduce this. So I see that 100 goes into both of these evenly. 100 goes into 200 twice, and 100 goes into 100 once. So this fraction 2 over 1, this means we have 2 wholes, because 1 over 1 would equal 1 whole, and we have 2 over 1. So that equals 2 wholes. So our final answer is 2. So writing percent as a fraction in this case is just 2. All right, let's turn percents into decimals. So the algorithm to change a percent into a decimal says that we're going to drop this percent sign. So we're just going to have the number 16. And we're going to take our decimal and move it 2 spots to the left. So in every normal number, there's an invisible decimal right on the right-hand side of it, right here. So the number 16 and 16 with a little decimal means the same thing. Just like $16 could be written like this. $16 could be written like that, or we can erase this and have the same amount. So the next thing that we're going to do is take this decimal and move it 2 spots to the left. And we're going to be left with 0.16, or to properly say this number, 1600ths. So it's not even half. Just like 16% wouldn't even be half right on a test. It's a lot less than that. It's kind of like 16 cents. 16 cents of a dollar is 16%. So this is how you change a percent into a decimal. Let's keep practicing. Here we have 45%. So my first step is I'm going to get rid of this percent sign and just write 45. And then I'm going to move my decimal again 2 spots to the left. So here's my decimal, 1, 2, and I'm going to be left with 0.45 or 45 hundredths. And this makes sense because 45% is almost half, right? Because 50% would be half. 45 cents is almost 50 cents, which is half of a dollar. Okay, so here is how we change this percent into this decimal. Just a couple more. Here we have 3%. So I'm going to rewrite it here, and I'm going to move my decimal 2 spots to the left. 1, 2. And now I need to fill in this number, this empty space with a number, and I'm going to put it as 0 to show my placeholder. Okay, so my final answer is going to be 0.03 or 300ths. And if you remember, when we changed this percent to a fraction, 300ths, it all goes together. Okay, let's keep going. Now, if you remember, when we did this one, this would not even be getting 1 question right on a test. This would be like not even getting half of a question right. So watch what happens when I turn it into a decimal. So I'm going to rewrite it here. And I'm going to move my decimal 2 spaces again to the left. I'm going to fill in these placeholders with 0. And I'm going to have 0.004 or 4 thousandths. This would not even be a penny if we were talking about money. It is out here in the thousandths spot. Okay, 2 more. Surprisingly, this one is going to be the same answer when we do it as a fraction and as a decimal. So here we go. Write 100, move the decimal twice, and we are left with just 1. That was the same answer that we had when we were doing a fraction. It's equivalent to $1 or 1 whole. Okay, 1 more. Here we have 200%. So I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to move my decimal twice, and I'm going to be left with 2. And that is also the same thing that we got when we did it as a fraction. Okay, I hope this made more sense to you guys. If you need any extra help, please comment below. Be sure to like this video and give me a subscribe, and I am always going to be here to help you.